Says it's working on my side. It's being
Is
sent
what?
to a third party.
Huh?
Says it's working. It's being sent to a third party, which means you sent it to Facebook, right?
Yep,
All right. So we live.
I believe so, brother.
All right. Let me go and make sure. You know what I mean? If I get to talking, if there's anybody in the chat, definitely let us know if you can see us and hear us.
Yeah,
So
I'm pretty
before
sure we're
we,
live.
oh, we're live, Chaz. We live. Somebody
Yeah.
said Amber Dawn says, "Hey, hey, hey, what's up, Amber? Share
Welcome
this
back
to my
to
page."
Chats with Chaz. We got the brother Tiger Carper tapping in tonight to tell his many facets of life and how he tapped into his soul fuel purpose. Tiger, good evening. How you feeling tonight, brother?
Thank you for inviting me, sis. I feel honored to be on here with you. To be honest with you, I was so impressed by your interview last week with Lachey that when you asked me to go on, I was like, "Yep, I don't care when we gonna make it work."
Beautiful. For those who don't know you,
Yeah,
just, I always invite my guests to do their own introduction because I know how people feel about labels and I don't want to mislabel anyone. And I know you in particular are not a fan of labels.
thank
So
you so much for that. Yeah,
how do you identify, let the people know who you are, and then let's get into it.
my name is Tiger Carper, Tony Carper, better known as Tiger Carper. I am a herbalist. I am a detox specialist, and I identify as being plant based because I believe you can use every part of the plant, and I believe we're magical beings, and we have a lot of different talents and superpowers, and I believe we evolved to that point where we can use every little piece of that plant in order to evolve to help us with our evolution.
See, I love that you said we are magical beings, right? So that alone will set some people off. But in truth, we are magical beings, right?
Yeah,
But this is who you are today. But this is
yeah,
not where you started off. In fact, you kind of started off as a real creative being, right? So I'm pretty sure you still identify with your creativity. You
definitely,
do
I would say
concoctions, but your earliest form of expression was through poetry, correct?
yes,
How'd you
absolutely.
get into that?
Well, as a youngster, just I believe it was all part of the escapism part. I'm a daydreamer, Chaz. I'm a big daydreamer. I was one of those kids sitting in class, wasn't paying no attention to what the teacher was talking about, but I always got good grades, so I passed at a younger age. I passed for a while, but it was something about poetry that allowed me to step outside of myself, not only step outside of myself, but being able to view the world in a complete different perspective than I felt that everybody else was looking at it. And I felt like creativity is our way, all of us, our way to be able to express our special gifts that we can offer to humanity. So I just drew a real close connection with poetry and drawing and scribbling and art, writing things down. Um, I was just a daydreamer. I was always uh, asleep in class, dreaming really big about what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be whenever I grew up.
So at that young age, what was your vision? Who'd you think you'd be, or what were you aspiring to be?
um, that's a good question because I wanted to do it all. I really did. I wanted to play football. I wanted to be a graphic designer. I wanted to be directing commercials. I wanted to be shooting movies. I wanted to do it all. But one of the biggest things I, I, I started growing close to is trying to be a rap artist. That was one of the things that rap influenced me, for better, for worse. Coming up, where I came up at. It was just one of those things that it was an outlet for your creativity and things that was going on inside your head. It was a good way to put them out without having to actually lash out or um, be one of those problem childs. So I think rap and hip hop saved me in a lot of ways.
This is twice now that you reference an outlet and escape, right? And it's
Yeah,
interesting that today you identify as a healer because healing usually begins with self. So it sounds like you were healing yourself through your expression through poetry that then sort of elevates into rapping. But you actually experienced some success in rapping. This was not just a desire. You actually bring that into full reality, into fruition, where you start rapping at a young age.
right.
Talk a little bit about how that came about, what kind of
Well,
success you experienced.
yeah. Well, I started rapping at a really young age. It started with just, having little battles with my friends in school, writing little raps, bringing them to lunchtime. It was a kind of like a sparring match. I was never a freestylist. I wish I would, but I was too much of a daydreamer. I was diagnosed with ADHD, bipolar, so my brain was all over the place all the time. So that was just one of the things that I felt like was a strong point that I had. So by the time I graduated school, I got that opportunity. I got that opportunity. We actually a group. Shout out to Third. Shout out to Cell. Because I know he's on here. He's probably gonna be watching. One of the guys that I rap with.
You
I'm
graduated
sorry.
from where? From high
Right.
school? Uh,
Oh, graduated from high school. Yeah. Since I graduated from high school, I was
Okay.
rapping way before that. I did shows at local, I would say local areas like clubs and things like that. And then, you know, I got approached by two other brothers that they wanted me to join up. We wanted to take the Wu Tang approach like everybody else did. We wanted to all get together with different styles and try to go get signed, get a deal. So we put a whole mixtape together, and then we sent it out there, and the local radio station at the time, which is Whammo 106. They had invited us up there, and then they put us in this contest. It was called Battle of the Beats, and they would play our song against other songs, and then whoever would win would get radio play for that whole week. So we ended up winning like 6 weeks straight or something like that. We got invited up to the studio, and we got to the studio, and we was there, and we was talking our stuff, and we got some of the callers. We were taking some of the calls, and one of them was from some club owners, and
Mm.
they had invited us to go to their club after we stepped out of the studio from the radio studio. So we went there, and that's when I negotiated my very first a deal, you could say. We were just kids. We were just out there having fun. We really didn't have a set plan. Um, but they were serious. These guys, shout out to Ted and DJ. They were big. If you guys in the Pittsburgh area, you definitely heard of Ted and DJ. They ran things. They as far as on the streets. And as far as the drug game, they took us on as a project. That's what I felt like. I didn't know at the time that they were into that type of thing, but they owned a lot of things. They had a lot of money, so they wanted to take a shot with us. So they, I was like, yo, I work. I was like, my boys work. I was like, I got a brand new son. You know what I mean? I was like, we're gonna need to be paid. And they was like, okay, well, what do y'all wait? Make it work, And at that time, I don't think I was working. I just made up a number. I was like, man, I make like 800 a week, and and then they was like, bet. If it was like one of those movies, they was like, bet. All right, we'll pay you all $800 a week. You know what I'm saying? You just come on the road with it. One of my boys, he got the benefit of getting the money and getting the deal, and he was just there with us. He was just our ride. I was like, yeah, that's our manager, right? That's our manager right there. So they was like, yeah, we'll pay him too. It don't matter. You know what I mean? So that's where it started for as far as the music went.
All right, so this is your first real deal, right? Well,
Right.
in terms of rapping, because you kind of always been making your own money, and
Yeah.
so your official independent deal aside from the rap game, you were repurposing computer parts.
Yeah, I was really into taking computers apart and putting things back together, fixing things, I guess you could say. I was a fixer. I healed computers, I guess you could say.
I love that.
uh, I would take towers, laptops, phones, or whatever they were, take them apart, put them back together, fix them. Then I would hack them. I would hack iPhone 4s. I remember when the iPhone first came out, I was hacking them to the point where I put this one software on there instead of the Apple coming up. It was like a pineapple that came up, and you was able to put your own prepaid number on it and stuff like that. I remember doing things like that just at an early age, a young age, and it grew. It grew into a business where I was taking these computers and I was taking these towers and stuff like that, and I was making them into game systems. I was putting ROMs on them and making them into Xbox games. I was putting what was called Cody now. It used to be called XBMC back then. It was like a free TV thing where you can get on, you can watch all the new TV shows, all the new movies, and things like that. So, yeah, I was hustling that and everything that I could. I was
Right. But see, I
yeah,
mentioned that to say this. That's really
yeah.
your first taste as an entrepreneur. The first time you are
Ah,
officially your own boss, right?
yeah, definitely.
And
Well,
I'm
you
just
could say that.
curious because you say that,
Legally, yes.
right. Right. But you say you were diagnosed with bipolar
Yeah,
and what was the other one?
ADHD.
ADHD. How
Mm,
does that impact you working for yourself or repurposing computer parts and then escalating a business? How'd you manage that?
man, like that's a good question. Doing that was just one of the many things that I did. I was still getting little jobs here, working at temp services. I was never a person of authority. I didn't really like authority that much. I always was daydreaming at work too. I'd be in the bathroom writing on napkins and things like that, poetry, rap, any outlet that I could. I always felt like rap was definitely an outlet for me because it gave me a chance to be able to uh, write out my experiences and my feelings that I might have not have couldn't understand at the time. But when I looked back at them, it was like I was looking at myself from a different angle. To
Mm.
really be able to see a different side of myself and be able to then um, try to mold the trajectory of where I was headed at that point.
So would you say like your daydreaming was sort of an escape from the internal
Yeah,
take, just the internal noise from your mind, considering that you were dealing with bipolar and just kind
yeah.
of navigating the internal system?
Well, I do. I feel like my situation at home, it wasn't the greatest, but at the time I really didn't know. I was just doing what I felt that other people were doing.
Right.
I felt like I was just doing what other people were doing. I felt like you know, I didn't have a great relationship with my mother. I felt like my grandmother was there, and I had a great relationship with her. I felt like her love was unconditional.
Hmm.
And I was dealing with father issues too, with father issues with father not being around. So definitely looking back at it in hindsight, I do feel like it was escapism, a way to be able to cope and deal with having an absent father and in ways an absent mother too, even though she was there. She was having her own issues too. She was a young mother, and I feel like when I was rapping or when I was being creative, that it was definitely tapping into something it was pushing me towards something that that a greatness in me that I didn't know that I had. I was very independent at a young age. I signed myself up for sports, for the very first time. And everything that I did, I signed myself up for. And I was like, even for college, if you can imagine that, I was like, you know, faking my mom's signature for that, for loans and things like that. I took the bus and did those things myself. But it was the same thing with like little league football. There was nobody in the stands for me, and that's just how it was, growing up in the projects. And it wasn't like it was just me because all my friends they didn't have their people there either. So I thought it was just normal. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That makes sense, right? Because
Yeah,
your
yeah.
outside is reflecting your inside. And so it's just, you find comfort in that sense through your friends. And
My friends they didn't have their
but
people there either. Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm like, so are you escaping not only the outside world, but you're like, how does that affect, how did the bipolar ADHD affect you? Because it almost sounds like you crushed it because despite these conditionings, you were still able to really tap into your creativity and find success there. Were you medicated for these conditions?
I was medicated, and you know, the medication. I feel like it was making me a zombie. It was making me have anxiety. It was making me have the all these other issues that I felt like I was dealing with. Um, but I do feel like I was navigating it, but I was never finishing things. I would start a lot of things and leave them open ended. I would start projects with people, even raps with people. There's still people like, yo, we got to get that collab going. I'm like, bro, give it up. It's been 30 years. Like, I don't know, like, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, I would leave these projects open ended and things that people was like, man, you should do this. You'd be really good at that. And I'm like, yeah, but I just don't feel like that's not my calling. It's not like, I didn't feel like one thing that I heard, I can't remember where I heard it when I was younger, but it was from an entrepreneurial perspective. It was like if you choose something, if you choose to do this, make sure it's something that you really love to do because you're going to put a lot of time in, you're going to put a lot of effort in, and you're going to be doing it. You're going to be doing it for most of your, the most of your existence. So make sure it's something that you enjoy doing. That's very important. So I always, even though I got into things, I would have reevaluated to feel like to ask myself, do I really enjoy doing this? Is this something that I want to be doing with the rest of my life?
And so then for you, what consistently showed up was rap. And so now
Yeah.
you get this deal
Hmm.
from these prominent, what did that feel like when to know that you caught the attention of two successful men who found interest in your small group at the time? Because you weren't signed, correct?
No, we weren't signed. We felt good. I felt like it was perfect because I felt like I didn't want to be signed. I never wanted to be famous. I didn't want the fame. I was never like that. I was never extrovert like that. I was an introvert. So if there was a way to where I can even be a ghostwriter or a rapper or write that way, I was going to take that route. At the time, I can't remember the name, but they were independent. um, Koch. I think it was Koch Records. I think that was one of the pushes that we wanted to push towards, to try to be more independent and try to have a distributor. I did not want to take the angle that everybody was that I felt like in rap was taking, and I felt like a lot of people, um, they had to give a lot up to in order to gain that success. And I felt like if you are an artist and you were writing your own raps and you were writing your own material, you're the star. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? These labels shouldn't be the star, and they shouldn't be able to have that much decision on what kind of music you do and how you want to put it out. So they not only took that, but they took your money from you that you were supposed to be making. So I was understanding that as even as we were going out and going doing these tours and these dates, we were meeting so many different people. 50 Cent, Ja Rule, Sean Paul, Kid Capri, and all these different people. Redman, and all these all these artists that we looked up to. So it was great. Yeah, I felt like I manifested that. You know what I'm saying? I felt like I was a great manifester at the time. I felt like daydreaming really paid off for me. You know what I'm saying?
See, daydreaming and manifesting to me don't necessarily equate the same thing. So, what would you say you did differently to sort of bring your daydreams into reality and really manifest that?
I felt like I still stayed close to the core of what I wanted to do, which was being creative. I felt like if I was in that space, whether it was writing, whether it was rapping, whether it was performing, whether it was doing poetry, whether it was doing art. I felt like I was staying close to my core of what I wanted to do when I was young. Because when I was younger, I got caught rapping in the hallways. I got caught writing and drawing in class. I remember in fourth grade, I drew a Garfield, and I got it taken off of me by the teacher. And I was like, damn, sitting there all sulking the rest of the class. And then when it was time to get up and go to another class, um, the teacher called me over and she was like, hey, she was like, this, hey, you have a real talent for this. She was like, I really want you to pursue that, to pursue this. And she was like, to show you what I mean, she showed a stack where she did a Xerox copy of the Garfield that I drew, and it was blank. And then she passed it out to the kids in her other classes, and they was for a coloring assignment. So they were all coloring it. So I was going around school like the rest of the day and seeing my colored Garfield and half colored and coloring outside of the lines or whatever kids did. But that was something to me. I was like, wow, that was powerful, because I still didn't know what I wanted to do. Having that ADHD, I felt like, man, my time is running out. Like before, usually when people get in high school, they know what they want to do. You know what I'm saying? And me, I still didn't really quite know that yet.
When they get in high school, there's
Yeah.
people who go to college 4 years and still don't know what they want to do.
Facts, facts. It's true.
But so I love that you say you stay true to your true core, your passion, which is always creativity, right? And so
Mm.
you attribute that to how you sort of manifested these gigs in your life where you get to really experience your creativity. But at this point, you're in your early 20s. I hear you say that you're now a father. How does
Mm.
this traveling on the road impact your personal life and your personal relationships? Being a dad,
Yeah.
having a
Well,
partner.
it really didn't go over too well with the ex that I had. We were having some problems at the time, which seemed to be just normal relationship problems. But excuse me, we were moving in two different directions. She didn't want me to. She didn't have no support for what I wanted to do. My ex had no support. She told me straight up, like with even private conversations, she doesn't like me rapping. She doesn't think we're going to be able to last doing that. So yeah, it definitely caused some problems. But at that time, I wanted to do more. I wanted to be more, and I felt like that was my way of doing it. I felt like, I felt like I could do it. I wanted to take on any challenge. I was always optimistic. I was like, well, I can do that, and I can worry about coming back and maybe saving the relationship later. But in that between that time, it got really bad with how she treated my son, how she was acting towards me. I got locked out, slept in the car, all those different things, and so I decided to go for sole custody of my son. So that definitely changed me as a person, and I think that really changed me the trajectory of where I felt like I was headed.
How did you navigate that? Like, having to, have a career on the road, having to now shift gears into, being a full-time parent or just trying to attain custody of your son and still trying to sort of figure out or redirect at this point, like, what is my life really going to become? Where am I going?
Well, at this time, I met the love of my life when I really wasn't looking at all. I really wasn't even searching. Um, and I feel like I kind of manifested her too. I mean, I'm not gonna say much, but I felt like I was manifesting things, and I felt like every relationship that I've been into that point, it wasn't exactly what I was looking for. But I wasn't a quitter, and I didn't want to quit the last relationship that I had. But so I don't feel like I pushed her to that point, but I felt like she kind of felt that I was taking off a little bit, and she already let me know that it wasn't going to work if that had happened. So, you know, um, I kind of took the approach like, all right, well, bump it. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to be successful, and then I'll bring back this success and fix everything. But that's just not how it happened. So, so I guess you could say at the earlier part of that, I wasn't navigating really well. Monica stepped in my life and she let me know what unconditional love was, where,
Mm.
you know, where she can love a person without asking anything in return, basically, and showing my son unconditional love, knowing the circumstances, knowing the situation. Never asked him, my son, or me to have him call her mom. She just wanted to be there as a supporting role for as long
Right,
as she possibly could. So she was a big factor in that. I would say definitely. I don't think that I would even continue to pursue to get custody of him if she wasn't in my life because I don't feel like I could have handled it alone at the time.
right. I love that. True love, unconditional love.
Chaz, you there? Peace, peace. Chaz. Don't know what happened to Chaz, but it looks like I'm still live. Peace. So I'm gonna take this time to acknowledge the people in the chat. What's going on, family? My tribe is in here. My soul tribe. It's different. It's different. Matthew Pierce. That's my brother right there. That's my young brother. And I'm going to give a little drop here. Make sure y'all tune in this weekend or maybe this weekend. You got to let me know, Matt. This weekend or next weekend. We usually have them on Saturdays or Sundays, but it's called Generational Healing. And we got a really, really exciting guest on for the next time that we come on. You guys will get more information on that as we go. But thank you guys for tuning in. Amanda Dawn, thank you for tuning in. Nissa, NP Nissa, thank you for tuning in. Courtney Akani, hopefully I'm saying that right. Akanini. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, family. But yeah, I'm looking forward to working with you in the future uh, with helping get patients off of dialysis. I love the idea. I love that you're sharing your experiences. Um, G Soul, another family tribe member. What's going on, family? Thank you for being in the building. Bobby Smith, appreciate you, family. Without you, a lot of us wouldn't have met up on this journey. Thank you for all you do in the community constantly. You are an example of consistency, brother, and I thank you for that. I thank the lovely Leezy baby for being on here with me today. Peace, peace. Rasta Tasha, thank you for joining. Latoya Bell, thank you for being in here. Completely Cole, thanks for being in the building. Tasha Johnson, yeah. So I'm just waiting for Chas to come on back in the building. Chas left me. Hopefully she can get that fixed pretty soon. But I'm going to use this opportunity. If you guys have any questions for me, drop them in here and I will answer them for you guys. That's okay. Chaz is about to be back in the building. She had her device malfunction, so we'll be back shortly. Hopefully, you guys can stay in the building, stay in the energy. I do. I do sell tinctures, Courtney. Um, I haven't expanded upon tinctures, but so let me tell you what I do. So I do a lot of blends and mixtures, and I do a lot of herbal fusions. So I make the oil separately, right? So I make the black seed oil separately. I make it from the black seed, from the cumin seed, and that's a separate oil. Hey, she's back. She's back. And then I like oregano oil. I do the same thing. So I take the oregano oil, I do the infusions and the extractions myself. And then I do a complete infusion where I infuse all the oils into one herbal tincture. And then I sell that. So I do have tinctures. You can find them on soulfuelsupplements.com. I'm actually working on another website, another platform to move it over to, and you'll be able to get in through that. It's called the Soul Fuel Lifestyle. So you'll be able to get to the same place by putting in the Soul Fuel Lifestyle or soulfuelsupplements.com. You go on there and you'll find those two tinctures. Welcome back, Chest. You hear me, sis? I can't hear you, sis. You got you on mute? There
So are we still
we go.
live?
We still live. I'm still in the building. We taking questions and everything. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
I'm so
People's
sorry,
here.
guys. I've had some issues tonight, and yes, I lost
They're in
some
the
power
building.
here. So fill me in. What did I miss? And
No,
I
I was
appreciate
answering
you
some
taking the
questions.
wheel.
That's perfectly fine. I was answering some questions. I was just talking to Courtney about the tinctures that I sell on our website, and Latoya Bell. Actually, yeah, Candy did make my ADHD a lot worse. I had a terrible diet at the time. I was, you know, eating mostly meats and processed foods. That was my diet. You
Mm.
know, a lot of cheese, a lot of oodles and noodles, a lot of project food.
A lot
When
of
I say
project food.
when I say project food, man, like I was the master of the grilled cheese sandwich with the government cheese. You know what I'm saying? You know that you make a
You mean
grilled
that
cheese
big
sandwich
block
with
of cheese?
the block of cheese that never melted in the grilled cheese, but you know what I'm saying? You have to have some skill to make that thing melt. So
The
I was like
humble beginnings.
yeah, so I was the master of that. My diet was bad. It was a horrible diet. So I would say that played a part in a lot of different things mentally that I was dealing with. That I looking at it hindsight, but certainly at the point, I started my health journey late in life. I didn't start really healing till I was 35, 36 years old. You know what I'm saying? So I started late in life.
Or you started right on time, right? Because, you had a lot of ventures, you had a lot of things you wanted to tap
I
into.
did. I did. Yeah, you're
So,
right
so
about that.
before we jump into Soul Fuel, you
Yeah.
actually ventured into an entire production company.
Yeah, yeah. So when we moved to Connecticut, I was well, actually, before we moved to Connecticut, one of the things that I learned when I went to school, I went to the Art Institute of Pittsburgh. One of the things that I learned, I didn't want to be a graphic designer, which I didn't like to. I love to draw and I love to sketch, and I was really good at it. But I didn't love the time limits that they put on things. I didn't love the industrialized view of graphic design where hey, you got 10 minutes to get this project done and get it out and get it over to so and so, and then they combine different ideas and projects. I was still having problems with that, with authority and working with a team at the time. I was much better by myself. I'd rather take a week to draw, to go back and forth to something, to draw something, to come up with something that I really like, instead of trying to rush it and trying to internalize other people's ideas and make them mine. So I had a problem with that. So I switched my major to multimedia. Multimedia taught photography. It taught me audio, video, and things like that. So I used those skills. To Monica was a model. She modeled for Axe, Axe body spray, and all types of other things. She was actually part of an agency. So I used to go with her and support her early in our relationship to her different outings and gatherings and things like that. And one of the things that we continued to pay for is like photos and photo shoots and stuff like that. So she was like, she saw it in me. She was like, "Hey, can you just take these pictures of me? I mean, you got a good eye." So I started taking pictures of her first and her friends and events that, and things that we were putting together. That's kind of how it started with the photography and the videography. Um, and then I formed the whole company when I went to Connecticut. I was still taking photos and still really getting good and getting the clientele that I wanted, doing weddings, which I always envisioned. I was like, I want to do this. I want to do this big. I want to get that wedding money. So
That's big
started
money
doing
too.
weddings. Yeah, oh yeah, we started doing weddings and community events and things like that. And then a partner of mine reached out to me, Frank Colmenares, who was a rapper also. Shout out to Frank. He actually was a rapper too. He actually made it as big as to do, he's very, very big in the Connecticut area, but he actually started, you know, uh, linking up with other rappers, Nipsey Hussle and so many different other artists that he was that good. He still is. He's that talented. But he wanted to start doing his own videos. He started wanting to take creative control of his videos.
Hmm.
So he hired me to show him how to do videography. We met a couple of times and it was just like the ideas and his work ethic and everything, all those things were the right thing. They were attractive as far as the business went. So he asked me, he was like, "Hey," he was like, "I'm starting this business." He was like, "Do you want to just go in with me on this business and we can, split everything down the middle?" So we started this business venture and it was a hit from the go. You know what I mean? We started doing community events, we started doing commercial jobs and things like that. So yeah, I was
But
able to get a. I'm sorry,
at
go ahead.
this point, are you still rapping, or did you kind of
No,
shift gears and completely dive into production?
yeah, I shifted gears altogether a couple years into into touring and things like that. The things that come with the drug business and the drug game started to catch up to the our managers, I guess you could say.
Hmm.
I felt like you know they were using us and we were kind of using them at the same time. And in order to get some money and get some fame and things like that, I felt like they were using us because they had the money, they had the status, they had the lifestyle, but they wanted to get some rappers to kind of open up the scene a little bit. So
Oh, I was like, they were using your what to like launder money, but you just mean to just have more
yeah, yeah, to
more
get
space.
out there more and to get into scenes that they couldn't get into. We were going to places like performing at Dr. Dre's club and things like that. That I
I'm gonna
felt
need
like
your autograph, brother, because damn, you was doing big things back then.
yeah, we were, and we would have had a lot of footage if it wasn't for a friend of mine who was starstruck by we were recording everything up to that point, but it was my camera, but we were recording everything. Well, one of my friends, he was kind of starstruck. He seen Redman when we was in Vegas. And he was like, "Oh, Redman, whatever." He put the camera down. He said he told us like, "Yo, I'm gonna put the camera down right here," but he never told us. And so we was all looking around at the end of the night like, "Yo, who got the camera? Who got the camera? Who got the camera?" Nobody had the camera, so all of the
Oh, y'all
footage
got
stuff that we was, and that was towards the end too. So that was it was kind of bad. I mean, because we
right.
had a lot of footage and a lot of different shows and things on there.
Mm,
But so yeah, it was so that went on for about 4 years, I would say, and then after that, I was still rapping, but I got a chance to peek into the industry, and that was definitely something I did not want to do. Making mixtapes and things like that. I would say, and I'm going to say why, because it wasn't my cup of tea.
mm,
Because I was talented at it. No joke about that. But the stuff that they wanted to hear was commercial things. They wanted to hear stuff that made you dance and they wanted to hear things that maybe that you didn't do. A lot of
mhm.
killing and things like that I didn't do. I always wanted to rap and speak about things that I actually did and be authentic, stay authentic to myself. I never wanted to be those type of rappers. So I wanted to be a more conscious rapper. I wanted to bring conscious and awareness to the community. So when I got a
Mm-hmm.
chance to do that on the mixtape scene, and I got to hook up with the studios and everything, I was kind of shady, and I just did that with friends, and I never people never knew that I was still rapping because I loved that part of it so much. You know what I'm saying? Uh, I didn't want to have the fame. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be able to create, and that's what happened.
So with that being said, right, you're talking about the ins and outs of the industry and how they take over creative control, which is something that
Right.
you weren't willing to sort of relinquish. But it also
Right.
afforded you a particular lifestyle, right? So what were you doing? Like what are some like insider tips or something like that that you can offer maybe an aspiring rapper to look out for so that they too can maybe experience a bit of rapping success?
Um, I know you guys heard it's all about who you know. And that is part of it. It's so big of a piece to it because even though we weren't that big in my eyes and in all of us, we felt like we got lucky. You know what I'm saying? We felt like we got a lucky break. We was on the road and we was seeing other artists that were really struggling, like and broke
Mm-hmm.
down minivans and things like that had number one hits at the time. Like Kaya, my neck, my back, my and my like her, right? She was had a number one hit going at the time, but you wouldn't have known it when you saw her. You know what I'm saying? She didn't get that
Right.
check yet. She just looked like a normal, neighborhood hood rat, to be honest with you, you know what I'm saying? And she was kind of ratchet, you know what I'm saying? But to everybody else, they were playing that video, and she would show up to shows. She kind of got on the same circuit that we did. Whenever people tour, that was one thing that you realize. You started seeing some of the same people on these networks that were either opening for somebody or they were just on the ticket with somebody. So we got the pleasure of opening for a lot of different people, and I feel like in those situations, I slowed myself down with drinking for one of the things that I noticed. I was kind of slowing down from drinking because everything was just a blur all over the
Right.
place. So I had to stop drinking so I could remember my words on stage, and I wanted to do that. But not drinking, it clues you into to a lot of different things that are going on around you. People that were whispering in the manager's ear, and things that they wanted us to do. The big timers, which is the Cash Money at the time. They wanted to take us on as a group. They wanted us to travel and do some things, but they wanted to. They just their terms were ridiculous to where they was like, well, either you take this or nothing at all type of deal. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't really think they liked us that much, but they feel like they can do something with us because we were talented. We all had the skills of the pen. You know what I'm saying? Where we could write about any subject. And
Right.
I felt like that's what we were doing. We were people pleasing or culture
Mm.
pleasing at the time. So we were giving the people the music that they wanted to hear at the time, but it didn't make me feel good inside.
So stay true to yourselves, sell out to the masses. What's the message here?
Oh
Like,
yeah, you did have a question there. so
is
yeah, uh,
it
so yes, definitely stay true to yourself and what you want to do, and definitely if you have something in your mind, I think Dave Chappelle said it best. Have that number set in your mind, or have that goal set in mind, so you always have a gauge of where you wouldn't go, a boundary that you wouldn't cross or go across. And that was it for us. I felt like we did a lot, and it was asking us to do so many different other things that was outside of our character that
Mhm.
that was it for the group. Even though I wanted to stay along because I was more battle tested, more street tested, I wanted to stay along for the ride to see how long it went. But the other two, especially there was just one of us really that didn't want to do it anymore. Got tired of seeing things that was really messing with his relationship really bad. And then some of our managers, they were having some legal troubles, and then when they had to go on the run, I knew that was the end of it. So stay true to what it is that you want to do, what your passion is, and I would definitely give that advice, and definitely have some discernment when it comes to other people owning your creativity.
And don't tap so much into the lifestyle, right? Because I heard you say like you started to pull back on your drinking just so that you could be more conscious and aware of your surroundings and how things were being navigated rather than being,
Absolutely.
intoxicated and just enjoying the party scene.
Absolutely, absolutely. We avoided a lot of that potentially bad situations just by me being sober and us saying, no, we're not going to do that. We're just going to keep on going. We're going to go here and go here. I felt like we avoided a lot of potentially bad situations for personally and the group.
I know another thing rappers usually, or just artists in general, tend to face is they come into big money or big chunks of money, but they have a hard time retaining that. And so, do you have any advice in terms of what to do when you start getting successful and you start making them dollars and that bankroll is coming in? How do you navigate something like that?
Um, don't do what I did, which is stuff the money under the mattress. Don't do that. Um, no, I spent the money in a good way. I felt like a lot of that was going for sole custody of my son. I spent a lot of money towards that. But definitely there were some things that I could have learned, how to invest my money more properly. But at that feeling at that time, the way I felt like I was manifesting, like I was bringing everything, I just brought the love of my life into my life when I didn't think, I didn't know, I didn't want to leave my son. I didn't know, quite what to do, but things became clear when she came into my life and things started to happen. So uh, I just, where was I going with that? Well, am I still on the last question? Did I still answer your last question? I'm getting distracted by stuff over here on the screen. Where am I at, Chad? Help me.
Lock in, brother. Talking to just me here.
Yeah,
You're talking about
ADD.
navigating funds, right? And
Oh,
you're
yeah.
just telling people don't do what I did and actually invest the money.
Right,
You know,
right,
if you're
right.
going to spend it
Yeah,
wisely on, important causes. And you
yeah,
reference, you put a good chunk of money into getting custody of your son.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
So definitely navigating money. Definitely I would have invested a lot better. I had a lot of other things that I wanted to do. And to tell you the truth, I actually did invest into those other things, a little bit here and a little there. But I didn't put my money in the bank. I was always one of those people that I was still kind of conscious. Other people called me a conspiracy theorist at the time. I was one of those people that were just able to see trends and see
mm,
how things were shaping out in the world and didn't want to be a part of that. So, you know, uh, I didn't want to put my money in a bank. I didn't want to save it. I didn't want to do any of that. And, it turns out later on in life, you need that type of stuff. You need business credit and you need them to be able to track you to a certain point, to be able to give you money and give you loans and
yeah,
give
you need to be able to prove you know how to navigate money, you know how to
you
handle
exactly,
expenses and, not go
exactly,
into a deficit. And so that's the flip
exactly,
side to your conspiracy theories and not going the traditional route of just
right,
stacking your money in a bank rather than under
right.
the mattress.
Absolutely. I was the
So,
mattress guy.
so you meet and you manifest the love of your life who now shows you unconditional love, helps you sort of navigate this parenthood of being a father or more present father, and just offers not just unconditional love to you, but also to your son. But now
Yeah,
you guys enter a whole nother world. Y'all go into business together. But not
yeah.
only do you go into business, you guys actually find success. And that's something that's pretty rare. A lot of people go to business and one or the other tends to fail.
Right.
But you guys seem to have the magic formula. What makes business work for you two?
I feel like showing up for each other. With the personal issues, made it easy to do business together. When she was down, I was able to provide, a lot of help for her, or just a lot of advice. I feel like, I'm older than her. I felt like she was a lot sheltered. She wasn't
Mm.
allowed out a lot. She wasn't in the streets like that. And when we started off, I felt like I was a bad influence, but I really wanted to be a part of shaping, the relationship in the way that I not only I wanted to, but how she felt that it should go. She had tough relationships, the ones that she did experience. So I wanted to show her something different. So I think just being there for each other and so many situations tells you more than just somebody telling you they love you. You know what I'm saying? The way they show up for you. So
Did
it worked. And to tell you the truth, I met her through the music thing. It just oddly enough, the way we met was it felt like it was destiny. I mean, she had a dance contest at a local club, and it was to get tickets to go to the Big Timer show, the same that show that we met at. So she had won tickets to a dance contest, and she beat everybody in the club, and she got these tickets. And then she won the contest, and she wasn't going to go. I mean, she was in another relationship at the time, and they was having troubles, and she was wanted her and one of her girls was like, "Girl, let's just go ahead out. Let's just go out."
definitely
You know what I'm
divine
saying?
timing. Definitely
And
divine
then
timing.
so the big timers were late. And everybody was in the club in the warehouse. They were smoking weed at this time. The club had just lost control of the club because, the big timers were late. They felt like people felt like they was wasting their money. Everybody in there with Steeler jerseys on. We ready to tear this place up with terrible towels and everything else. And I look out onto the dance floor. Actually, one of my friends was like, "That girl over there, the only one dancing in here," because everybody else was just standing around and smoking and doing all types of stuff. And he was like, "That girl, the only one dancing." I looked over, it was Monica, killing it, killing the dance floor, like slaughtering the dance floor by herself, her and her friend. So I was like, "Man, I gotta go talk to her." And I just went up to her from behind. I whispered in her ear, and I was like, I was like, "I love the way that you are dancing right now." I said, "I'm just gonna be standing over here just watching you." And then from that point on, we exchanged numbers, and we've been together ever since that day. So even the way we met was like she was doing her thing dancing. So whenever we got together, she was doing choreography, not only for to help our shows and things like that, but she started helping other people that were in the business. Uh, I'm trying to remember the guy's name. He's a Southern rapper. She did a lot of choreography for him and some other people.
So
But she had her
here's
own thing going on.
but here's what I'm hearing. You guys are sort of in alignment in terms of your two creatives, right? And
Right.
something that it sounds like to me that you guys also offered each other a different perspective in the lifestyles you guys were previously living. And so
Right.
it was important for you guys, like you said, was to show up for each other. And
Right.
so that kind of morphs into being able to work together because of the solid foundation of the relationship.
Absolutely. Um, because one thing that I noticed differently is in my relationships, I tend to get bored, okay, in the
Mm.
relationships, and I didn't because I was a really personal person. I like to be by myself a lot. So everything used to irk me that my relationships. I was like, "No, I can't be around that for too long," and I didn't want to be like that in a relationship. I didn't want to not be around you because of certain things. So with her, I just wanted to be around her more. I never felt like that. Even when I was on the road and she couldn't go, it didn't matter what time I called or where I was in the United States. When I called, she would sleep or whatever, she would answer that phone just to give me that peace and that comfort. And
Mm.
that to me meant a lot when I came off the road. And in the hood's eyes, I was a failure. But to her, I was
Mm.
still, I was still me, and that meant a lot to me. So
Why
going
were
into
you a failure in the hood's eye?
because they felt like I was the hood savior, like I had so many opportunities. Why didn't I cash in on these opportunities? You know what I'm saying?
And you didn't cash in on those opportunities because
Um, I I didn't uh, I didn't make a official album. I didn't get signed to a big album contract. Um, yeah, they
but more
kind of felt like, and then
importantly,
and then more
how did
importantly,
how did you
I
feel about yourself?
um I felt like it was just part of my journey. I felt like I did exactly what I wanted to do. I got a taste of that. I wanted to see what that was like. And I didn't like it after a while. I was traveling all the time. We were traveling, we were going to different places, living out of hotel rooms. It was fun at first, but you know,
It gets taxing after a
it
while.
gets taxing after a while. So I felt like I did great, but then, there were people making rap albums about me and everything, like, to come at me and things like that. That's when I first felt like the hatred. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, there's some who feel like if you ain't got haters, you're not successful. So that's a token to you even registering on their radar, right? That they're they're putting out whole albums about you.
Yeah,
But here's the beauty there, right? It wasn't about their perspective. It was about your own perspective. And you did what you wanted to do. And you got, like you said, to experience certain, you got to really manifest and experience your creativity on your own terms, which is something that a lot of people don't get to do, right?
right.
And so you were able to wear multiple hats as an entrepreneur, just as an individual. And then life hits you with a blow, and then another blow some years after the fact. You lose your grandfather and your grandmother.
Hmm.
And I know those were very hard situations for you because you said earlier on that your grandmother was the first person in your life that you kind of felt experienced a touch of unconditional love. What was that like to lose your grandmother?
It was tough, especially, my son's the one that found her. You know what I'm saying? So I was being strong for him, but I felt like I was losing it inside. I bottled that up for far too long, to the point where I was lashing out at everybody. You know what I'm saying? I felt like there was something that could have been done. I was the one that wanted to leave the plug plugged in. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
When the decision clearly was to unplug it. Um,
right.
so yeah, I had a hard time with that. I felt helpless, and it was one of those points that I remember that I want to educate myself more on how to help and do things, to be able to help people. It was one of those first moments that I felt that. So yeah, I took it really hard.
So this is where you start to do research in on health and start kind of digging in and sort of shifting your own lifestyle.
Yeah. As far as health, definitely. I used to uh, have people over the house and to work out. I had the Bowflex and the P90X. You know, we I invited people over. I don't care who you were, or if you was the type that liked to sit around and smoke weed all day and didn't exercise, or you wasn't an athlete. When you came out over my house, that's just what we did. So you had to either join in on that, or you had to sit there and do whatever you do. Excuse me, do whatever you do and just watch us work out, because it was a motivating factor um, in my life. Working out helped so much for me as far as learning to cope with the ADHD and doing all those different things. I felt like that was something I was missing from my life. So I
So
started
working out.
to working out. We even made some changes at the time in our diet. We cut out pork. That was just one of the things that we cut out, and we went on chicken for a while. We cut out
Mhm.
a lot of things. I stopped eating a lot of processed foods and candy and things like that. So yeah, that was
So
one of the
you
first
turn that
times.
that deep hurt, that deep pain into sort of a pursuit of passion.
Yeah,
And you really took a more positive approach and you turned that pain into something that was going to benefit your life. And
that's it.
it sort of begins to morph you into the healer you are today. But that's not
Yeah,
quite yet it,
right.
because then the love of your life is put into a position where, she starts experiencing her own health issues. And
Yeah.
so you turn to the medical industry and talk to us about what that experience was like.
Well, let me start from by saying when we first started looking for help for Monica, it was in Pennsylvania, and I felt like, we were going to clinics, we were going to different places trying to get her help, and they didn't know what she was dealing with. So we didn't
Hmm.
know how to proceed, how to move
Right.
forward. We just know that, she was bleeding a lot, and it was kind of pulling us apart too, because she didn't want to speak about it, she didn't want to talk about it, she didn't want to burden me with
Right.
something that she was dealing with. So our relationship was suffering in all facets. But me just wanting to be there for her, and her opening up to me about the things that she was dealing with and how she felt she needed to move to proceed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we kept on trying to find answers. And basically in Pennsylvania, they was telling her like, hey, you just got bad cycles, like all the rest of the black girls, they just got bad
Mm-hmm.
cycles, maybe from eating bad or whatever. And then when we moved to Connecticut, I felt like Connecticut was set up um, to handle these type of situations because you got Yale, you got Harvard right there.
You
You know
got
what I'm saying? You
Ivy
got
League in the
Harvard
in the
right up there.
mix.
You got really good medical schools. So the hospital we went to was, I think, it was owned by Yale.
Mm,
And we finally got a diagnosis on what she was dealing with. And that was PCOS, fibroids, and what was happening is she was bleeding every month, and to the point where she was losing all the blood in her body.
mm,
So there was one time in particular that I remember that changed the course of everything.
mm-hmm,
We went to the hospital. She got rushed to the hospital, and they needed to keep her overnight to put blood back in her, the IVs, and do all that stuff. So we were kind of like, I was still game planning then. Like I was researching, doing all that stuff. I remember being at the hospital, sitting next to her on my phone, researching different things and watching Dr. Sabi videos and stuff like that. So we found out what we was dealing with. So one of the doctors, I'm going to say it's a prescription. He prescribed her this. He said, well, when they let her go from the hospital, it was like, you need to keep your iron up. One of the things you need to do, you need to eat a lot of red meat.
mm,
They
mm,
said you needed to eat the red meat so to get the iron up, to get that bioavailable iron, and you should be fine. You know, so that was what we did. We went to a butcher that we knew that was close by. We went there, loaded up on steaks and all types of things, roast beef and all that stuff. And that's what we did. We had steak and eggs every day. And to the point where she got worse and worse and worse and worse.
right.
And we went back. The doctor advised a plan, a step by step plan. He said, you're going to continue the red meat. We're going to put you on a Lupron shot, which is to stop the bleeding. At the time, it was a
Mm,
birth control. So he wanted to put her on that. Um, and to stop the bleeding. And I knew by just watching Dr. Sabi that this didn't feel right. It didn't feel like the move that we should have been making. But
mhm,
we tried it. We got the shot. It came in like a James Bond case. It was like a metal case, and it was had to be frozen. It had to be a certain temperature, and opened up and did all that. She got her first shot, and they said one of the side effects was to go paralyzed, but only 2% chance of that happening.
mm,
So she fell into that 2%. You know what I'm saying? To the point where I was carrying her to the bathroom and things like that. So it was really, really bad. And we went back in really pissed off. Like, what's next? So what are you going to
right.
have her try? That's going to be worse and worse and worse. So he was like, at this point, it's either surgery, which I'm not fully prepared to do, or you take another one of these shots and we'll see how it goes. So we both we knew she wasn't going to get another shot when we came in there, and we
Right.
knew surgery just wasn't an option for that. So uh, I asked the doctor. I remember sitting in the doctor's office. He had a nice red oak desk, wooden desk, and he said he laid everything out for us and what the options was. And I seen a picture of his family sitting there on the desk, and that picture was one of his daughters there, and she looked about, I don't know, maybe 17, 18. And I was like, can I ask you a question, doc? He said, sure. I said, if this was your daughter in this situation, I was like, what would you advise her to do? And he sat there for a second. He thought about it, and he was like, I wouldn't do any of it. You know what I'm saying? He was like, I
The
wouldn't make that
irony, the irony. They'll tell you to do something that they themselves would not prescribe their own family.
right. So he was like, And I was like, why? Why wouldn't you do it? Why would you recommend us do it? And, you wouldn't do that with your own daughter. He was like, well, she's younger. She has time. You know what I'm saying? So I would try
Wow.
everything that impossible that I needed to do before we were faced with these situations, which were two tough situations. So uh, we decided that at that point, I felt like I had learned enough on my own
Right.
um, to at least try to go the natural route. So we went head into
Holistic
first
healing.
we yeah, holistic healing. First we cut out a lot of different things. And
Hmm.
Monica was kind of sure of how she wanted this diet to go. She just knew that she would get a lot more progress if she let go of cheese. Cheese was her it was
Our
like
kryptonite.
she never thought she would be able to let that cheese go. With that casein in it, that casein gets you addicted.
Mm.
But uh but yeah, so she wanted to cut out a lot of different things, and by cutting out these things, I cut these things out too. I adopted the same diet as she did. She was the cook, so I didn't really have a choice in the matter. You know what I'm saying?
I
Either
think you
that or
had a
starve.
choice. You just chose to align with her and support her through her journey rather than, kind of leave her
Yeah,
to fend for herself. But it kind of sounds like Monica was doing research alongside of you, or this was just some things that she kind of picked up along
she
the
was
way.
definitely doing it. She was definitely doing a little research, but at the same time, she was still working too. We were
Right.
both still working. We were both still trying to do whatever we can to make a buck in expensive ass Connecticut. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So, so yeah, I just felt like I was better at research. I felt like I knew where to look and where to do certain things. But she actually came on to Dr. Sabi first through somebody's
Hmm.
testimonial,
Right.
where they said they was using his fibroid tea and things like that. And me, I was like, all right, what's in the tea? Let's reverse engineer that thing. You know what I'm
I
saying?
love that.
Yeah, so we after the lifestyle change and we cut all those things out, she got a little progress there. We got the herbs and things like that. She got more and more progress from that. It just seemed like it picked up a lot further, where she actually was seeing the results. So she was dropping fibroids out each month, which
Mm.
was a little more progress. The little ones came out first, and the bigger ones.
Lifestyle changes. Was at that point, did she shift to like vegan? Did you guys go vegan? Did you just cut back on like certain products?
Yeah, we went vegan. We went
Full
vegan. We
vegan,
cut out. Yeah, we went
full
out.
animal products.
Yeah, full
And
animal
then
products.
and then so we got lifestyle changes, gives progress,
Right.
additional herbs added to the formula,
Right.
things start taking off.
Yeah. And
Okay,
then
because there's some controversy versus,
right.
whether or not to take herbs, with if there's a
Yeah.
place for them, that you don't need them. And I
Right.
would agree, you don't necessarily need them, but they
Right.
definitely have a place in healing because it progressed her journey.
Yeah, definitely because it was tough because the reason why I say a little bit of healing after the change of lifestyle, we were the wrong type of vegans. We were the plant-based burger, beyond burger eating
The
mugs. You
junk,
know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
that's usually
Yeah.
the first step. Like, all right, I'm not gonna eat plant-based, but I'm gonna eat all the processed plant-based stuff that I want
Right.
because it's not, you're not quite yet in alignment with
Right.
being plant-based. You kind of
Right.
want to pretend like you're still eating all your favorite foods.
Right. So yeah, that was where we were at first. And then, as we tried the Dr. Sabi lifestyle,
Mm.
we adopted most of the things, but some things too that we were just like, I don't even know what some of these herbs are. I don't even know what some of these vegetables are. I never
Mhm.
heard of these things. Sarsaparilla, burdock root. I have never heard of these things up to that point. So, um, it was like it was a big learning curve for me because I really wanted to get in deep and learn what I was talking about. So was ordering more of his herbs, and you would get this little menu when it came. It was like Dr. Sabi's food list of
Mhm.
approved foods and things like that. So I didn't know nothing except the fruit side. You know what I'm saying? I didn't
Okay.
know none of the herbs. I didn't know all that stuff. So I felt like it was safer to just stay on the fruit side, which at the time, uh, I adopted that well. We started doing like little fast and a mono fast and things like that, and that man, that was really where things took off. Um,
The
and
healing
then
power of the fruits, baby.
the healing of the fruits. So the herbs and the teas that so I decided to come out with a tea because I felt like that was my strong point. When I was learning herbalism, I felt like they was like try to find your niche.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like teas were my thing because it was a mix between trying to get something that was functional that it actually helped with the conditions to finding something that tastes good. You know what I'm saying? That was important to me. In order of, if you're telling me we need to get 92 minerals in our body every day, and if we had to take these bitter herbs, the bitter herbs are the most healing herbs.
Right.
And it says something whenever you go to put these things in your mouth, like that stuff is nasty and it's bitter. And if you're telling yourself that stuff is good, then something is wrong because your body's first response system is telling you that this stuff is bitter. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So that to me was important, trying to find good tasting teas. Um, so um, so leading up to COVID, we were right in the position where we needed to be.
Mm. Talk about it. Because what's the world doing? Crumbling. People,
Yes,
people's health is really on the line and it's unexplainable. No one really's got answers
right.
except for Tiger.
Right, because we didn't have no intentions on selling that at first. We were just happy that we were healing. You know, she was healing. I put a concoction together that I was taking when we didn't even have a capsule machine. I was just scraping the powder together and putting it into a capsule myself because I didn't want to taste it, and that was for my ADHD. Using those bit different mushroom blends and things like that to be able to gain mental clarity, mental focus, and things like that, so I could finally toss away my Adderall. I could toss away my
Mm.
Xanax. So I can toss away all those different type of medications that I would take. So it was experimentation. You know, a lot of this stuff was experimenting on her,
Mm-hmm.
experimenting on myself, experimenting
Right.
on my son, experimenting on my brother. When I gave him my first concoction, where I thought like, yeah, this is good, and I can't remember what I put in it. It was like burdock root or something else. And he was like, I was like, this is like an iron concoction. I said, taste this, and he tasted it and he spit it out. He's like, what the fuck? He's like, you trying to kill me? He's like, this tastes like rusty nails, and I was just like, I was laughing, but I was kind of hurt. Like, man, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Not rusty nails.
he said it tasted like rusty nails. So then we had the idea from teas to make capsules. That was so important that the capsules came along because we can then make sure that we got the healing. The herbs were working. They were getting the results that we wanted. But I got tired of watching Monica sit around the table. The way she was taking her herbs was just ridiculous. Like we bought those little plastic shot glasses, right? Those little shot plastic shot glasses, and she was filling them up with a little bit of water, and then she was putting the powders that I was making in each thing. It looked like we were dyeing eggs. There was different colors, like one be green, one would be red, one is yellow, and then she would take them as shots, throwing them back, throwing them back, and that's how she would take her caps, take her supplements uh, before she learned how. And I started getting the capsules together and learning the sizes of capsules, and then, you know, and then I felt like that was a changing point where we were ready
Listen,
to sell these things.
she made it work. You know what I mean? Like
Made it
she's
work.
tapping into that old lifestyle.
Absolutely,
Let me take these
absolutely.
shots. But that's amazing. You guys
Yeah,
experimented on yourselves and found results. And so then you start selling your tea.
yeah. Tiger Tea.
Tiger tea. Tiger tea.
Shout out to Miss Liz, one of the teachers at RMMS, where I taught at. She was definitely one of the heavy supporters, Miss Liz Quiones, and her husband, and they were all just supportive in anything that we did in the community because they were like that themselves.
Mm.
In the community, they did a lot for the community, so they saw the effort that we were making, so they were supportive of anything that we did. So they were drinking the teas too. They would call it the $5 tea. Come by, drop $5 and get a tea. You know what I'm saying? That was how it was to the point where I was working, and then when it was my break time or lunchtime, we lived across the street from the school. That was a big
Beautiful.
plus. So where we was on break time, I would run across, go make him teas and filling orders and doing stuff like that. But when COVID came around and shut everything down, that's when things took off for the best, I would say.
One one man's agony is another man's success, huh? So you find success with Tiger Tea. How do you go from tea to tinctures and to other formulas?
Well, the tea was great because the concoction that I made just happened to have licorice root in it. Okay, and licorice root is one of the components of SARS-2, which is a part of COVID. Okay, so they were calling the tea the COVID unaliver. You know what I'm saying? That's what they named it. Because we were going to the hospital, we making hospital visits to people that were on respirators. And I remember me and Monica making a delivery to the hospital for our Tiger tea. And on the way home, she's looking on social media, and the girl that had brought us bring the tea. She was like, "Oh, so grateful for this Tiger tea." She was like, "It cleared me up almost instantly. I'm able to get off the respirators, and I'll probably be able to go home tomorrow." That to us made us like, wow, like we knew what we had there. The tea was really successful on fighting COVID, not only COVID, but just anything that you were dealing with, the flu. I had the ginger that was the main component that was really
Mm,
good for inflammation and clearing out mucus, things like that, mucus in the lungs. And then when I really realized that COVID was attacking the lungs, I added the mullein in after that, and that's
mm-hmm,
when tea was really, really, really effective for that, for fevers, for anything that people were dealing with as far as illnesses go. So it got a lot of attention really fast. I had to pop up a website. People were coming by. I had to get saving big containers because I was making it in the fluid sense at that point. I was making them their teas hot. People was coming by and getting them like a drive through.
right.
That piqued the interest of a couple of people, and then we got a couple of people reach out to us wanting to see if they can help us grow it and things like that. So
Mm,
what happened was, to make a long story short, I got kind of shafted. They owned a bottling company and things like that. Um, but I didn't have a license for what I was doing or anything like that. So, talking at these meetings, trying to get this, to get it bottled and do all that stuff. I was telling him like I don't have a license or none of that stuff. So I felt like he used that against me and snitched on me
mm,
because, after that, I got a letter in the mail that was saying I was trying to sell food products out the house and I had to have all these licensing and things like that, which I could have done easily, but it made me do a pivot. It made me think like, okay, what's another way that I can still sell this tea? You know what I'm saying? So the loose leaf form was the answer.
mm.
That way, the weight, so I can finally ship it to all the people, and the people back home was mad at me because they were like, I can't get this tea. How come I can't get this tea? You got this tiger tea going up there. Oh, we from back here. We the tigers. You know what I'm saying? We got the tiger tea going. So so it was my opportunity to be able to send it to family members, send it to people, and not have to pay a ridiculous shipping rate and trying to keep this, learning how to ship liquids and do all that other stuff. So it was kind of like a blessing in disguise. People enjoyed loose leaf tea. They could make it as strong or as light as they wanted it to. They could save it in a pouch that they want to. So it was just kind of the answer. And
Mm,
so that um, I was like, I listened to people. I was listening to a lot of critics at the time, and a lot of people, that were working out and in the fitness and health community. They were saying, "Man, he thinks he can change the whole community on tea." They was taking shots at me. All those what it was called subs on the internet. Yeah, people
mm.
think they can fight COVID and change the whole pandemic with just tea. You know what I'm saying? So it made me think, and I was like, they were right. I needed more. I needed to do more. So I had
Mm,
already had the knowledge on all the herbal mixtures and things like that. I just couldn't make it into a tea because I was afraid the taste would drive people away. So I started making capsules. Learning about herbal infusion was one of the best things that I could have possibly did. Learn what I can mix with what to make a powerful a
Right.
powerful concoction to or formula to be able to get what needed to be done. So I felt like, you know, I really jumped into my healing when I started taking courses. Okay, during COVID, I don't know if you guys remember, but things were really cheap. There were classes that was really cheap. Some were free. They were offering free courses. So I had spent a lot of time at home, being at a school when they had shutdowns and stuff like that. So I started taking my education into my own hands.
Mm-hmm.
When I started learning about all these different healing modalities. So I learned herbalism first, at the beginning of herbalism. Then I took an intermediate course, and I finally took a master herbalist course, where I
Right.
felt like I got the most done. And then after that, I wanted to take a course on holistic nutrition, which I don't talk about that too much because even though I was certified in it, I feel like what I learned from there, I couldn't use a lot of it because they were in the traditional ways of healing in a lot of ways. They believe you should have that portion of meat, that portion of
Okay.
cheese, that
So it
portion
didn't
of,
align with
yeah,
your beliefs
it didn't align with my beliefs and what I
or
knew
your
to be true
experience.
already for my
Right.
experience. Exactly.
Right.
So it's kind of fought against that. So um, one of the ones that I learned a lot of videos from and I had learned a lot of things from was Dr. Robert Morris. And I found a
Mm.
course through his page for regenerative detox specialists. So I took that course and I loved it. Everything that he was talking about, I felt like it was the culmination of things that Dr. Sabi was talking about,
Mm-hmm.
that Arnold Ehret was talking about way back in the 1800s. Dr. Africa. I felt like, this guy Robert Morse really knew what he was talking about.
Right.
And he referred to himself as a naturopath doctor,
Yes. Yeah.
indeed. So I felt like he had the credentials and things like that. So I felt like that's where I wanted to get my certification from, uh, to kind of I didn't need anything to validate me at that point. Um, that was more for other people. You know what I'm saying? I really do feel like that because a lot of people that I was working with at the time, they like, dude, ain't you a photographer? Ain't you a videographer?
Right.
You know
That
what
part. Yes.
I'm saying? Aren't you a
Yeah.
rapper even? You know what I'm saying? Where this wanting to heal people come from? Like, nah, no, thank you. I'm gonna go to a doctor that's all they do. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so I had to kind of lock in. I had to focus, and I had to put myself and put my hat in a lot of different arenas, even challenging some of the real popular people like Orville Douglas on some of his things. So we got into a couple
Mm.
of things, but I always love and respect what the OG is doing. Shout out to OG Orville Douglas.
For
Um,
sure.
and
Absolutely.
a lot of people, I wanted to test the things of my knowledge until I didn't need to test it anymore because I had gained enough experience where I didn't need to question that anymore. I didn't need to put it up against the test. Truth itself reveals
Mm.
itself. It doesn't need you to
Mm.
fight for it.
I love that. Truth reveals itself. There's no need to
Absolutely.
fight for it.
Absolutely.
So is this the birth of soul fuel?
Yeah, there was the birth of Soul Fuel. We decided to do it full time, and I was still kind of working at the time. But when they offered us to go back to work, one of the things they want us to do was get the jab. Okay, and we was
Mhm.
totally against that. So here's where my help came. A lot of people that were getting fired from the hospitals or just didn't believe in the jab, they wanted to, really take advantage of the herbal remedies that I had put together. Okay,
Right.
even in where they were offering a lot of help, like, hey, maybe you should try this or try that. This is where a lot of people were dealing with. Even let me know what was going on behind the scenes in those hospitals, and that really it was a wake up call for me. I didn't realize that people were suffering that bad in those hospitals, and then a lot of people didn't want nothing to do with that. They felt like they would have been taking part in a mass extermination of the people. So they were really speaking out about it. A lot of them lost their jobs, and so they became like my consultants. So I knew kind of what was going on in the health world, and I was able to um, use that as a catalyst to be able to say, okay, um, I know what's going on here with you with the allopathic community, but let's try something more natural. Let's try something more holistic. And they gave me a lot of tips, a lot of pointers, and I'm grateful for that. And that's kind of where my support team kind of came along. So we were still working at the time. Monica was getting a lot of demanding hours because she was healing. And once she started healing, she started doing everything she wanted to full time. She was teaching. She started her day like 7 in the morning, didn't get back to like 8 at night. So there was a lot of part time there where she was teaching with the kids. She was at community centers. So she was off on her own thing. So I had to take the business by myself. I remember just being frustrated, sleeping at the table, making capsules and trying to fill orders and things like that. And, when we both didn't go back to work, she kind of jumped in when they said, "Hey, you got to have to get a vaccination, or you have to find another job." So we decided to jump in all the way with Soul Fuel, and when she started helping me, another thing where she jumped in to help me out, we just took off from there because I was able to do the all the other work as far as the graphic designs, the designing of everything, handling customer orders, making the actual blends and concoctions themselves. And she was able to, do all the other stuff production wise, put them into capsules and putting them into bags and organizing everything for me. I was highly unorganized. People used to call me a mad scientist because I was a messy guy, like I had stuff everywhere. I'm like, it looks messy, but in my mind, I know exactly where things are at. I was that type of person. So she
So
began to
at this
organize for me, put
point,
labels on everything. So yeah,
so at this point, you kind of healed yourself of your ADHD and bipolar.
yeah,
And so are you seeing things more clearly? Are you more focused and able to
absolutely,
bring projects to completion?
absolutely. I felt like it was an awakening spiritually for me also. To be able to
Mm,
finally tap back into somebody that I used to be at a younger age when I felt like I was manifesting all these things that come towards me that had went away with marijuana smoke and taking these Xanax and Adderall. It was those are suppressants, so
right,
they
right.
suppress the highest part of myself. So, of course, when I was able to finally start taking lion's mane and things like that, which caused neurogenesis, which I was able to create new brain cells and new, it was a
Mm,
whole new way of thinking. So spiritually, I began to become more in tune and become closer and closer to what I wanted to do, which was my passion. So the first time that I was able to help her, um, it was just like something just clicked in my mind. It was like, this is it. This is I
this
wouldn't
is my
mind being able to
calling.
help people. The gratitude that you get back from just helping somebody is unmatched. There are people that help people all the time, and they tell you all the time, like, man, when you give somebody something and you don't want any credit from it, that's the greatest feeling in the world to be able to do something like that. So
Absolutely.
me, I felt like that was I was doing it on the highest level at this point. Like, you know what I'm saying? We're even in our first couple of years, we're helping people put cancer into remission. Like we still have
Mm,
the testimonies and things like that, like things that Dr. Sebi was talking about when I was calling him crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this brother crazy. They gonna get him. He's talking about he cured cancer and all this stuff. And you know what I'm saying? Like, um, I was now doing these things. You know what I'm saying? I was now facilitating healing for a lot of different people and showing people their superpowers. And I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do with the rest of my life. This is how I not only make a mark for myself, but I'm leaving something behind of value to the people or whoever was a part of my
something
life. You
actually
know what I'm saying?
tangible. Do you
Yeah.
have something in Soul Fuel for those many people who took the jab, who unfortunately weren't able to decline and had to kind of fall into the trap, into the loophole?
That's funny. It's a funny question. It's a good question, but it's funny because no, I don't have nothing on the Soul Fuel roster because I was kind of shook. I felt like they was going to come after me if I came out with the counter to what they was doing, and I was like, man, I'm just getting started. I'm not trying to be taken out.
Right.
Um, but um, but I was giving people the formula behind the scenes. I had heard that curcumin and bromelain mixed together destroyed the spike protein. So I understood what the spike protein is, and I understand what it takes and what type of acids it takes to break apart a protein structure. So
Mm-hmm.
so me knowing what contains bromelain, pineapple, what contains curcumin, turmeric, so mixing those together, I was definitely giving that recipe to everybody, and they were so thankful. Um, Later on, because it didn't have a quick effect that everybody thought it would take. It took a while, and I
Mm-hmm.
do believe it was what people's lifestyle. I believe
Oh yeah.
whatever's in that jab, that's why you couldn't have any pre-existing conditions. It would make whatever condition you had
Worse.
worse. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So so yeah, I went on a big campaign against that, and the jab itself, and just allopathic medicine altogether, and that really let me know that I was on the right page whenever they started snatching down my pages, my work that I was doing. I'm like, dang, this was happening to so and so. I saw this would happen to so and so. They were trying to do that, so now it's happening to me where the FDA is contacting me saying that I can't use these words. Some of these testimonials that people were saying and using, they couldn't use these words. So I felt like, I was gaining attention, but was it the wrong attention? You know what I'm saying? Sounded like it kind of felt like for a while that I was pissing more people off than I was helping people.
Well, I
But
mean, that's all relative to perspective, right? You were pissing off
yeah,
the wrong people, but you were definitely helping the right people, right? You're pissing off people that you're tapping into their profits, tapping into their market, right? But you were absolutely helping those people who needed your help.
right, absolutely,
But in addition to just selling herbs and tinctures, you actually coach people.
right,
You support them on their healing journey.
right.
How does that contribute to your passion?
Well, at first I was doing it for free. I was like, anybody that wanted to know about what my supplements was and what they did and my herbal concoctions, I felt like I owed that to them.
Mm,
Especially people that were so suspicious about herbs. I felt like if I brought that clarity to them, they would
right.
understand it. So I was um, I was really set up for this a long time. So the whole time that I've only been coaching for the last 2 years. I felt like that was my next direction. I was like,
Mm,
what am I going to do with these certificates and all this knowledge and different things? I said, I want to be able to walk them through that. I don't want to just give them something and say good luck. You know what I'm saying? I'm
right,
interested in
right,
seeing this thing through. And really, I needed that. I needed to see people get results. I needed to see how they came out on the other end of that. Because just because I was able to heal us and heal ourselves, it doesn't mean that that same formula will work for other people. So I needed the experience. So I coached for free for a while, and it was such a great experience. I felt like I had a undefeated record because of the things
mm,
that I was taking on. I would stay until they got they were getting some results or some benefits or whatever they were looking for. So I felt like that was the next logical step if I wanted to. That was one of the things that you can do and still be involved in all aspects. I can be involved in their detox. I can be involved in building them back up. If they needed a personal trainer as a coach, I can refer them and say, hey, you should go see so and so. They're a real good coach. So
right.
and so is a really great massage therapist. Oh, go see Chad. She's really good on helping deal with the mental aspect of it. You know what I'm saying? So I love that aspect of community that I was able to not having to take all the things on my shoulder. We was able to build that community around people to send them there to go work out and do these other things. So I love the fact that I can be a coach and a motivator because that's what coaching is. It's showing people that they
Right.
can do something that they can't quite see themselves. You know what I mean?
With that being said, are you going to continue to be a coach? What is the next logical step for you and Sophia?
I'm going to definitely continue to be a coach. But something that I'm working now on is I want to show other people how to do this. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? And I didn't want to just show people how to be an entrepreneur. I want to be able to show people how to heal themselves. Okay.
yes.
Show people how to heal themselves and then show them the process that I went through, show them the shortcuts that I took. You know what I'm saying? Or not to show them how they can make a shortcut and show them where I took the long route on certain things where they can
Things
get
to
to the
avoid,
information a lot
missteps.
quicker. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So I feel
Beautiful.
like that's something I'm going to offer really, really soon in a course setting. So it's going to be broken down to a couple of different parts, and I'm going to
Sign
be
me
teaching you
up,
about,
brother. Sign me up. No.
yeah, definitely. I'm going to be teaching how to uh, you know, uh, heal from traumas. I'm going to be teaching how to heal using herbs and fruit, and then I'm going to teach about herbs. I'm going to have an herbology course altogether, and that's kind of going to kind of be a blend of a beginner, intermediate, and a master, all in one. And then there'll be a third and final course, which is showing how to take all that. What do you do with all that knowledge? How do you actually start a business with
To
all that knowledge?
implement.
How do you
Yes.
actually start getting clients and things like that? So those are things that I'm excited about for the near future.
Beautiful. That's absolutely phenomenal. And the way people can tap in with you and get in touch with you is reaching out through your website, correct?
Yeah, definitely reach out to my website, or
Full fuel supplements.
or soulfuelsupplements.com,
.com.
and definitely also to my email. I love a lot of when people reach out to me in email, because it email is the only thing that I feel like we got left without intrusion. What I mean by that is I feel
Mm,
like we live in a world that people feel like if they call you or if you're online, you need to pick up, or they're upset, they're mad at you. You know what I'm saying?
right, right.
The email, you can leave it what it is, exactly what you want, or what you want to, of how you want to even enter somebody else's life. You know what I'm saying? And then I can get back to it when I have the time to do it, and I can be able to digest that, or whatever it is that they're asking in the email setting. So with that being said, I really annoyed when sometimes people reach out to me via instant messenger or things like that, and they just blurt out their whole story to me, and I don't know them from a can of paint, and they're telling me, "Can you help me with my cancer? Could you help me with this? Could you help me with that?" That's just not the way to go to approach it. If you're really interested in healing and you're really interested in me coaching you, like Chas said, you can definitely go to the website, and there are links there. Definitely, you would read the disclaimer. That just protects the both of us. That tells you that I'm not a healthcare physician. I don't diagnose or give or prescribe people things. Okay, so that protects us, and then we can really get into your whys and your goals and things like that. Um, and
So
that goes mostly through the email process.
that's like the second. The first step is connect through either email or soulfuel.
Right.
Soulfuelsupplements.com, and you can't get any assistance without getting through the disclaimer. Like he said, it's a protection not only for himself but also for yourself. And you want to set that foundation. You want to know what you're stepping into with the confidence in knowing that you're dealing with someone who's trustworthy. Not only is he
Right.
trustworthy, he's got results, right?
Mm.
And he's coming from a very holistic approach. He's not just there by himself. He's got his beautiful wife, and he's got a community that he's built that he can now he can refer you to somebody who can further along assist your healing journey. So y'all heard it here from the man himself. He's the real deal. He is official. He has gone through many facets of life to truly step into his power and his passion. Healing is not something that he does just for himself, but that he finds great gratitude in your healing journey. And he
Mm.
will walk with you. So you're not going to just buy something and have to read the directions and figure it out and see what's going to happen. He's going to talk to you. He's going to help you adjust, readjust, pivot, do the necessary. He's going to
Mm.
meet you where you at, which is super important. So if you're serious about your healing journey, check out soulfuelsupplements.com, do the necessary, fill out that disclaimer, and get in touch with Tony, aka Tiger Carper.
Yeah, man. I just want to say before any we go any further, Chas, you are so great at this. You are so great at what you do. Um, you know, just making somebody feel comfortable and making feel like that I want to talk to you. I want to tell you the story. And that's definitely a talent because that's something that I'm still trying to get used to my dang self. You know what I'm saying? So you're very comfortable at it. You're very knowledgeable. I feel like like wherever we were prepping the other day, I felt like I owed you some money because I felt like we went through a whole dang counseling session. Like you had me thinking about some things that I haven't thought about in a long time. Not because I was ashamed of them or anything like that, but I just love living in the now and
Mm-hmm.
try not to spend too much time in the past unless I'm learning a lesson. I'm going back to grab a lesson from the past, and
Right.
then with the future, I try not to look too ahead of the future because I don't want to be anxious. I don't want to, I want to try to uh, live as much in the now as possible. Let that guide me. Let current spirit guide me to where I need to be.
Mm.
Now, we'll not have to worry about the future as much.
That's so powerful within what you just said. I don't go to the past unless it's to pick up a lesson. I try not to go too far in the future because I don't want to be anxious. I live in the now. And in truth, that's really all we've got is the now. You're not promised the future,
Mm,
the past you can't change. So
mm,
it's so beautiful that that's your center, staying in the now
yeah,
and having a little guidance in terms of direction in terms of where you want to go, right? But that doesn't
yeah,
have to be 15, 20. It could be just tomorrow, like tomorrow I'm gonna start my program. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
but you're
right,
very conscious of staying in the now, and you're very tapped in and in tune to who you are and who you're manifesting yourself to be, which is absolutely beautiful and is something you connect to through your meditation.
definitely. I'm a manifester. I'm a meditator. I meditate, and then so many people inspire me in this community. They do. My man G Soul, as long as he sits there and meditate, I'm like, I can meditate long. Not that I didn't meditate before. And I used to walk around and meditate. I used to be one of those people like they would think I was talking to myself because I'm really, meditating or praying or working situations and scenarios out in my head. Um, but I meditated once I seen G Soul go to work. I meditated for 45 minutes the other day. You know what
Beautiful.
I'm saying? Was into deep meditation and all the healing modalities that I'm still learning. One of the things being energy healing. I'm learning and because I understand and learned was self taught a lot of things about energy healing and different frequencies, frequency healing,
Mhm.
things like that.
Mhm.
So that's something I want to dive more in and just keep adding more value to me as a coach. You know what I'm
I was
saying?
just
Because I can
about to
definitely
ask.
offer more. I can definitely
Yes.
add more value to that by learning different things. So I love to learn. I love to read different books, and I love to read different perspectives on situations. I think that's what makes me a good researcher. I'll look it up and I'll read the first couple pages of Google to see what they talking about first before I go to get to find something to cross reference that against. And then I'll form my own opinion off of the information that I learned. And then I take it to the even to the research stage to be able to um, you know finally get a complete understanding.
You
So
mean the
then I'm not in the believing.
experimental phase
Right, right.
where you
So
start
then
being the guinea pig?
yeah, definitely. I'm always the guinea pig. I'm always trying stuff. I'm always ordering different things that come in the mail, and I'm like, "What is this? I even order? I don't even remember ordering this." And then I got to look at my notes and be like, "Oh yeah, I said I was going to add this to that." It's all an experiment.
But I
Like
kind of
somebody
like
said about
that, that you're willing to experiment on yourself before you go ahead and experiment with the public, right? So that
oh
kind of
yeah,
that taps into like a level of integrity for me anyways. Like I'm not gonna ask my client to do something that I wouldn't do for myself, right? And
yeah,
that just kind of translates in life. Like don't ask others to do what you're unwilling to do. So the fact that
yeah,
you're gonna stand behind your product because it's tried and true and it's tested is a beautiful testimony. And yeah, it makes me feel a lot more confident about working with somebody like you.
yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So I say that to say this, my brother, I have taken up quite a bit of your time. I know you are super busy. And so do you have any final say words, takeaways that you like for the people to remember?
Um, yeah, I would like to say um, uh, that I want everybody to really do their own research and to dive into um, more natural, holistic ways of healing, and
Mhm.
and then in that they can find all the answers that I truly believe that they can find all of the answers that they're looking for, uh, either mentally, physically, or spiritually, and
Mhm.
that's true holistic healing. When you're dealing with, uh, because a lot of people say, well, all you got to do is eat a certain way, but you and I both knows it's a lot deeper than that. You know
Yes.
what I'm saying? If
Yes.
your environment is not right, if your mind is not right, and your mental is not right, and your spirit is not right, that
Yes.
physical doesn't mean anything. That
Right.
physical doesn't mean anything. You see people do it and they change their physical all the time. They're paying money to give themselves BBLs and this and change face jobs, facelifts, and all this other stuff. You can change your appearance. That's no thing. You know what I'm saying? But
Hmm.
you can't fake that mental and spiritual change. You
That
cannot fake it.
internal. Yes.
That projects to me. That projects that physical manifestation. So I would say take a more holistic approach whenever you talk about healing. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Really
Yeah.
think about what you want and what you want to achieve, and then really take it seriously and write it down as a plan. Okay, write your plan down and then attack that plan. You know what I'm saying? And then you'll be able to, of course, you'll be able to pull back from that plan, but you'll at least have a foundation in a
Right.
direction that you're headed. So yeah, I would like to give that advice to everybody because I feel like a lot of people in the health space are getting divided by little things. Well, you juice and I don't juice, and you eat you cook your foods even though you don't eat meat and stuff like that. And I don't cook my food. I'm a raw, and I feel like so many people are being divided in a time where we need to pull together more. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah, I agree. I can agree
Um,
more.
and there's a lot of healing to be done, and there's a lot and there in this space, in this health space, there's so much for uh there's so much work to be done, and there's so much work for everybody. We need everybody. We need coaches, we need herbalists, we need detox specialists, we need addiction specialists, we need all of that. Okay, so we
We
all
need
have different
physical
superpowers.
trainers.
We need
Movement
physical
is super
trainers,
important.
movement. Yeah. There are people online doing this. There are people like myself who take more pride in doing it behind the scenes, person to person, face to face.
Hmm.
But there
Hmm.
are online warriors. There are keyboard warriors that we need in this fight too. That's where the
Yeah.
misinformation is being spread. So we need people like that. Not to say one person is better than another, but we need big groups like Bobby in order to bring in people on the base level in order to
Yes.
top people. We need everybody for this because we're outnumbered. We're clearly outnumbered in this fight. But it shows you we don't, when you get to a certain point in a certain frequency, it doesn't matter the numbers. It doesn't
Right.
matter the numbers, okay? Because we're living in our truth. And it's the highest vibrational energy that exists.
Mm.
So
To quote our good brother Bobby, the energy is shifting. And
yeah,
yeah, I think it's really important, like you said, all of those healing modalities you mentioned, from juicing to raw to eating vegan cooked food. I mean, all those things get you results. I think it's super critically important to understand that it depends on where exactly you are on your journey and where your sights are set, right? So you start as a cooked food vegan and then your end result is a full-blown fruitarian. But there's
right.
so much ground in between those two
So much.
that it doesn't necessarily mean one is right or wrong. It just simply means that's the path that you're on currently on your journey. And
Right. Right.
own that and
Right.
embrace it and really tap into your healing. Whether you do it with herbs or not, you do it with cooked food or raw food, or you do it with fruits.
Absolutely.
What all of those modalities have in common is that you're not doing it with processed junk. So hold true to that. right?
Right.
That's
Right.
start picking common denominators. If that's where you are in your health journey, what do all of these things have in common? That fruits are healing, that what, for some people vegetables are repairing, right? That's not for
Mm.
some people, that's literally what vegetables do, right? And then
Yeah.
for other people, you know what? I'm kind of somewhere in between these fruits and vegetables. I need these herbs to kind of facilitate my process. So you do the
Oh yeah.
herbs. You know what? I like to
Yeah.
juice because I don't like to chew because chewing triggers me wanting to binge eat. So I juice. I don't like the fact that juice doesn't have fiber, so I take the smoothie route.
Right.
Own your healing journey. The choice is
Right.
yours.
Right. Absolutely. I had to figure that out too as a coach. Try to come with the one. This worked for the most people, so this is what I'm going to stick with, and that's it. Just doesn't work. You got a lot of people that um, just like if you're healthy, your body will reject the things that are foreign to the body. You got
Mm,
people that have autoimmune diseases, what they call it, right? But that means your body has fully uh, become engulfed with acid.
mm.
You're in full state of acidosis at the acidosis at this point. But where you ingest something healthy, it rejects that. So you see a lot of people allergic to fruits, a lot of people allergic to different types of citrus and allergic to different types of things, of course, because that is not the major force in your biology right now. Your body is highly acidic at that point. So you try to add anything that's going to help it, your body's going to look at it as a foreigner at that point. So we have to reverse that and become more of an alkaline body in order to, be able uh, to really receive that true healing and make our body inhospitable for any germs, any diseases. These processed foods, we shouldn't be eating them, but if something does come in our body should be equipped to be able to handle that and break that down and get it out of our body. That's just how we're made.
The body is hands down to this day the most phenomenal,
It's amazing.
irreplaceable machine that exists.
It's
You just
amazing.
gotta fuel it with the right things.
Shout out to the Most High.
And
I mean, they've been trying to, you know, they've been trying to
absolutely.
duplicate it and clone it and replicate it and use every little major machine and all these things are based off of our human physiology.
Yeah.
And all the medicines and everything they do that seems to be so advanced, it's based off of everything God made naturally. You know what I'm saying? So based off of some type of plant. They just can't really take it and patent it. So they pull constituents from the plant, which makes it a drug. So that's what they do. But you can find everything you need in nature, in God. It's already there for us.
People take heed. In absolutely every single person that I have interviewed to this day, spirituality is a common denominator in your healing.
Hmm.
Some type of reference to source, higher being is always come up. Purpose has always come up. The vision shifts from my own healing to the healing of the masses,
Of the collective, yeah, sure.
of the collective, correct, right? So take heed again. What are the common denominators for my healing journey? Where am I
Hmm.
trying to go? What's my mission? And so many people have found their purpose along their healing journey.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I want to thank you all for tuning in. Tiger, I want to thank you for your time and all your beautiful knowledge that you shared with us tonight. Um, is so fascinating. All the hats you've worn to just come back to those healing hands and to
Yeah.
really stand in your power and your purpose is absolutely beautiful. And I'm so glad we were able to share that with the world tonight. So thank you.
Thank you. And I look forward to you too, how you're moving forward with these interviews and your healing journey as well. You're healing. You know what I'm saying? You're one of those ones that I was talking about. All healing doesn't look the same. It
Right.
doesn't operate the same. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like you tackle a major part of healing. Before I go into any part of healing, I believe you're supposed to get the mind right first. And that entails a lot of uncomfortable conversations. You really got to get to the root of what's causing the issues. There's always something to the root that's causing you to act out a certain way or be a certain way or even eat a certain way. So I feel like
Absolutely.
you're a major part in that. I'm just really proud of you, my sister, on the steps that you're taking towards that.
Thank you. I totally received that. I appreciate those words. Thank you so much.
Yes. And to everybody else that logged on today, thank you so much for jumping in, staying patient with me when Chast abandoned me. And
Yes.
she,
Thank you.
so I
Yeah, we
appreciate
definitely had some technical issues tonight. So I
it.
totally appreciate
It's
everyone
all
who
love.
tuned in and is still rocking with us. So you all have a beautiful evening and peace.